Our last speaker is here. She is going to close up the day for us, but before we have her start speaking, I'd like to ask Emily Menser from the Itemizer Observer to come up and draw our two winners. The first card drawn will win a pair of tickets to Discover My Town, which is happening tomorrow across Monmouth and Independence. And the second card drawn will win a 1-year membership in the Independence Downtown Association. So Emily, would you come up and do your thing? The first one is Sue Barker from the Farmers Market, who will win a pair of tickets to Discover My Town. Read what his name is. Murray McBride. From Umpqua Bank. Is it Marie? Murray. I said Murray. Thank you, Murray. Well, Umpqua Bank already has a membership in the Downtown Association. So I have something else for you that I will deliver to you personally at the bank. And I do good prizes.
Okay, so my name's Emily. I'm with the Polk County Itemizer Observer, and I am going to talk to you a little bit today about press releases. So press releases can be wonderful things. There can be a gateway or a door to get into a newspaper, get someone to come out and do a story about you, which often equals free press for you, which is usually a good thing. So, but there's some things you should keep in mind. Basically, there's the 5 W's or whatever it is, the who, what, why, where, when. And those are really important things, but there's more to those than maybe you first think about. So when you're thinking about the who, you need to think about who you are. So if it's about you, how old are you? What got you started in your business? Are you a veteran? Is there something about you that makes you stand out? Tell me a little bit more about yourself and who that is, because that's going to pique the interest of a reporter, and then maybe they'll be a little bit more interested. It'll give them some ideas on how they can write the story with a certain angle or work with it that way. The second who that you really need to think about is who are you sending the press release to? Are you sending it to the Oregonian, so you want it to reach the whole state? Are you sending it to a television broadcast, so you want something that's going to be on the air? Are you sending it to radio? Are you sending it to the Polk County Itemizer Observer? You need to figure out who their audience is. So if you're sending it to me, for example, I need to know that you're from Polk County. I need to know what you're doing here in the county locally. If you're sending it somewhere else, you need to think about who their audience is. For the what, sometimes it's as easy as the event. What is the event, or what's the project? So if you're having a fundraiser for something, like you're saying, hey, we've got a fundraiser for Relay for Life. Everything that we sell is going to be 10% is going to go to this event. All right, I got that. That's a good what. However, there's also kind of a, what is your message? So while you're sending that, at the same time, you can send what's the core message of your business. So either a quick value statement or what it is that you're doing, what you're trying to get across, what are you doing and why. Where that can be as easy as an address, a location. So I know Riverview Park, the Riverview Market is at Riverview Park, 50 C Street. That's a location that's aware. At the same time, think about placement, something that you might not think about. Like in the newspaper, for example, we've got lots of different places we can put information about a business or an event. We can stick it on the community notebook page in the calendar. We can stick it in a business brief area. We can put it in a newsing brief, or we can write a whole feature story about it, and maybe it's a whole living page or a front page story. So that's another when you think about the where. And so if you want it to be more of a notebook item, then maybe it's a community event that's free, open to the public, something like that. Or maybe it's that fundraiser. If you want it to be a business item, then maybe it's someone's getting a promotion or we won an award, things like that. If you want it to be front page, I have to be honest, it's got to be impressive because businesses on the front page don't happen very often. And it's got to be photo friendly. So if you're thinking about it already, it's going to make life so much easier for whatever reporter is looking at that. So if you're thinking, okay, so I've got this really cool thing that I'm doing. How can I pitch this so that it's a way? It's not a press release, it's a pitch. And so that's just some things to think about too. And then the why. Why do you do what you do? Why are you selling what you sell? Why are you doing the services that you're doing? If you have a more compelling reason on why you're doing it, it's going to make us more interested, us as media people, more interested to pick up a phone and say, well, that's really interesting. Tell me more about that. And that's always a good thing, because then you get to tell your story more and have a chance to get more press out there. And then also tell me why readers or viewers or listeners should care, because that's something that we have to ask. And if you tell us why they should care already, you're doing half our job for us. And I don't want to. Reporters work really hard to do a lot of stories and cover as much as they can, but sometimes they just get inundated with stuff, or they're really busy, or they get really focused on projects, or they get really focused on stories, and we miss stuff. We miss stuff all the time. So if you send something that makes it easy, it's just a better chance that it's going to make it to the paper. There's another thing to think about with the when, and I feel a little guilty because I feel like it's kind of a secret in the business, but I'll tell it to you. So when you're thinking about when, there's certain times of the year when I will tell you there is no news at all. You are making up stuff almost. I mean, you're not really making up stuff, but you're really reaching to fill the newspaper or fill the news hole, whatever it is. So that's why, like, the end of the year, you see a lot of newspapers and a lot of TV news even go back and be like, here's our top 10 stories of the year. Here's our top 10 entertainment stories of the year. The reason we're doing that isn't because we're nostalgic. We're doing that because there's no news. So if you can send us something during those kinds of times, like the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year, you have some event or a story pitch, send it. Send it at that time, because reporters are like sponges right then, dried out sponges for news. So just send something and you might get really lucky and be like, wow, that was a front page story. I never would have been a front page story, but in December, front page story. Same goes with, at least for the itemizer, we're coming up on a slower time with June, after the fair in August, October usually, because we're just waiting for Halloween and holidays. There's not a lot of news. So there's just certain times of the year when, if you can plan your press releases accordingly, it just ups your chances. Really, the only guaranteed way to get your word out there is through advertising. If you send something and it doesn't get in the paper or it doesn't get on air, just remember that, well, you didn't pay for that, and maybe they were just busy. Maybe it was an oversight. Maybe there just wasn't room this week. And try not to get too mad at people. And also, don't give up. Send it again. Because maybe it just got lost and it totally would have made it in, but because there was a lot of emails that day or something, or just send it again. See what happens. You never know. So, I don't know. Do you guys have any questions for me? Yeah, that's really helpful. He's talking about the actual style in the press release. So if you just write a basic, the home-based business fair will happen from 2 to 6 p.m. on Friday at the Elks, which is at this address, and it's going to be great for everybody. That's really boring. Let the reporter go ahead and write that up, but tell me why it's going to be fun. So the more you talk about yourself, the more interesting it's going to be, and the more it's going to. It's like you're telling your friend. So if you pretend like you're pitching it to your best friend, you're saying, hey, I'm going to do this really cool thing. Say that to the reporter too, and let them decide. It's a lot easier. But you still need to include the basic basic information. But you don't have to lead with that necessarily, which that's, you can start out saying, hey, my name's Emily. I got into journalism because I wanted to be a journalist since I was 6 years old, and I'm a reporter. It's what I do. You can start out more interesting than that. So, does that answer your question or not really? Okay. Yeah, I got a press release a couple weeks ago from a business here in town that on the surface, it's just a workout place. It's just a gym. But then but the story that I was told is that all of the stuff they're doing with veterans and the work they're doing with the community to raise, from the food bank, or they're doing other things involved with veterans. And I thought, well, that's a story. So it's not just about the fact that there's a gym in town. It's what else are they doing besides that? And so it's just kind of makes it more interesting. Sending in digital pictures is never going to be a bad idea. It's always going to be a good idea, I should say. Get the negatives out. So it's something it's helpful because it not only says, I've already done some work for you, here's a photo, but it also says, this is the potential for photographs. So now I see that and I can say, okay, so maybe that photo isn't the greatest. I won't use that photo, but I see the potential for photos, and that's bumping it up again to something that could be more a bigger story. Yeah, go ahead and send in some photos. Yeah, and don't make them too huge because then you're going to block up emails, and some email systems can't handle large photos. But yeah, feel free to send photos with your releases. So. And they don't have to be anything formal on letterhead or anything either. It's just an email. So, is there anything else I can answer questions for? All right, well, I have got my business card up here, so I'll leave it with you guys if you guys want to have it. And if you want to send me a press release and just to look at it and say, oh, here's some things I might do differently, or I might see it and go, yeah, I want to write a story about you right now. I don't know. It just depends. So I'll leave them for you, and you can do with what you want. All right, thank you.
I want to thank all of you for coming today and for being our guinea pigs for the first ever home-based and small business fair. It will be coming back to you next year. We will consider what time and try to pick an optimum time and maybe a place with a little bit more lighting in it. At least we had free Wi-Fi here. And you are certainly invited to start breaking down if you want to, because I think this is a pretty intimate group at this point. But again, thank you very much for coming. We forgot one of the vendors, and I am so sorry.
That's all right.
This is Eli Killen, and he's also one of the sponsors, and I forgot it. He's with Willamette Riverside Studios. Mm-hmm. And are you going to say nice things about your boss?
No.
There you
go. All right. We're Willamette Riverside Studios, and that's my dad there. Don't let him try and tell you differently. We are just right down here, a couple stores, and we do audio, video production, event stuff. This is our sound equipment and things like that. We got a full green screen audio recording studio. I've been recording video since it was VHS, and audio production since it was 4-track. So pretty much all AV needs, but it sounds like a little bit different from these guys because, yeah, we're pretty much straight up live streaming events, things like that. And so, but he's got all the degrees in business and marketing and stuff like that, so still worthwhile. But, yeah, I know everybody wants to get going here, so thanks.